Okay, in today's video we're going to be looking at indirect object pronouns. If you haven't checked out the video on direct object pronouns, go and check it out before you look at this video, because this video builds on what you've learned from direct object pronouns. If you have had a look at direct object pronouns and you're not super duper confident with it, go back and check it out, because you need to be confident with it before we move on to this. So the good news with this is that, assuming you are confident with direct object pronouns, sorry, this is actually quite easy to get your head around, and it's not too difficult. With direct and indirect object pronouns, I think the thing that most people struggle with is just the concept. Once you get your head around the concept, it's really, really easy to form, and it makes your Spanish sound so nice and so rich and so much more. You'll find your Spanish is much more fluid, and you get one step closer to becoming that sort of near native level of fluency that I know you are looking for. You will get there, I promise. Baby steps though, or micro peak steps. So we're looking at indirect object pronouns today. We're going to look at when to use them and how to form them. Let's start off with a nice and easy one, which is when to use them. So, when do you use indirect object pronouns? Nice and easy. An indirect object pronoun replaces the noun that is not directly affected by the verb. So remember, with direct object pronouns, a direct object pronoun replaces the noun that is directly affected by the verb. Indirect object pronouns, shock horror, replace the noun that is not directly affected by the verb. The verb? No, idiot. Verb. Right. You may not be so confident as to what that means, but do not panic. Fernando is here to help you. So let's break this down piece by piece to make sure you understand when to use indirect object pronouns. So let's look at the noun. I'm guessing you understand what replaces means. So let's look at what the word in the noun means. Well, the noun is just a naming word, a person, a place, or a thing. So the toe is a noun, for example. A verb, easy, a doing word. So the toe walks. I know a toe doesn't walk, but the toe walks. To walk is the verb, so there you go, it's a doing word. Okay, so let's look at it in context. So let's have a nice example. So I give the phone to Gertrude the tiny pig. Right? So I've broken it down into different colours here, and each different colour shows what each different section or each different part of the sentence rather is doing. So I give is a verb because it's a doing word. You're doing the giving, so it's a verb. The phone is your noun. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. It's the noun that's directly affected by the verb. Mostly because if you look here, there's no words or there's no real gap in between. It's just I give, bang, the phone. There's no I give to the phone, I give for the phone, I give on top of the phone. No, I give the phone. So what is being directly affected by the giving? The phone is, okay? I know you're thinking you're giving the phone to Gertrude, so Gertrude's directly affected. Gertrude is a noun, but Gertrude is indirectly affected by the verb, because it's not I give Gertrude to the phone, it's I give the phone, directly affected by the verb, to Gertrude. So Gertrude is still affected by the verb. It's not that she's not affected by the verb, but it's just not direct. Okay? So let's see how that's going to look with an indirect object pronoun. So verb sounds the same. Verb stays the same, so that's nice and easy. I give. The noun, which is directly affected by the verb, stays the same, nice and easy. Now it's to her. That is our indirect object pronoun, Fernanditos amiguitos, okay? Because this to her here is replacing to Gertrude the tiny pig. All of that has been replaced by to her. Why would we do this? Well, you do it in English to avoid repetition. You do it to avoid saying, I see Gertrude the tiny pig. I buy Gertrude the tiny pig a present. I buy Gertrude the tiny pig a phone. I give the phone to Gertrude the tiny pig. You see, it sounds quite stilted and quite, it's not particularly flowing. But if you say, I see Gertrude the tiny pig, I give her a present, I give the phone to her. You see what it sounds a lot more fluid, and it just sounds like you've got a much higher level of English. Exactly the same in Spanish. If you can use indirect object pronouns confidently in Spanish, your level is that much better. Okay, so here's a nice example in English of what's going on. If you want, this would be a good screen to make a note of, or to print out, or to copy down or something. So maybe pause it here and print this off if you can, or make a note of it, because it's actually quite useful for you to have just an example in English to see what we mean by nouns, verbs, and indirect object pronouns. Okay. So looked at when to use them. I think we're fairly happy with that. So now let's have a look at how to form them. Good news, it's not that difficult. So in English, to me or for me or by me. In Spanish, we just use me. It's not pronounced me, it's pronounced me. In English, to you, for you, by you, with you, or whatever. In singular form, in Spanish, just te. To him, her, or it is le. To us, nos. To you, plural, os. To them, les. So you'll notice that all of these are exactly the same as direct object pronouns, with the exception of le and les. And if you cast your mind back to direct object pronouns, yeah, like I said, you'll see that they're the same, except for these two are slightly different. Okay, so this would be a good screen to get to print off or to make a note of. It's really good. That's it. Those are all the indirect object pronouns that you need to know in Spanish. So just to recap: me, te, le, nos, os, les. Nice and easy. Those are your indirect object pronouns in Spanish. Remember, with direct object pronouns, indeed and indeed, indirect object pronouns. Start that one again. With all object pronouns, positioning is everything. So, object pronouns go. This slide may look familiar because it still applies to direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns before the verb. So let's look at that. So the indirect object pronouns goes before the conjugate. Sorry, my words are failing me today. The indirect object pronoun goes before the conjugated verb. Let's have a look at what that means. Again, I've color coded it here for you, just to make it even easier. So I give the phone. I give is our verb. The phone is the noun. So doy el móvil. I give the phone. To go to the tiny pig. So in Spanish, to say all that, you say doy el móvil a Gertrude el cerdito chiquitito. So there you are. I've grouped it by color so you can see which each bit is doing. Now imagine I want to say I want to give the phone to her. Le doy el móvil. I give doy the phone el móvil, and then to her goes at the front and it goes le. So an indirect object pronoun goes before the conjugated verb. So you can see it's not doy le el móvil or doy el móvil le. It's le doy el móvil. Literally, to her I give the phone. So indirect object pronouns go before the conjugated verb. Nice and easy. If this doesn't make any sense, pause this bit, copy this down or print it off, and then go back to this little section and have a listen again, because you need to get your head around this. Of course, you can always leave me questions and comments if you're a bit lost. So let's move on to the second section here. So we've done before the conjugated verb. Let's have a look at after the negative. So with negative sentences, the indirect object pronoun goes before the conjugated verb and after the negative word. So I don't give the phone to Gertrude. I don't give the phone to her. This is our example in English. Let's look at it in Spanish. No doy el móvil a Gertrude. So no doy el móvil a Gertrude. Again, the colors are there to help you so you can see which each word or groupings of words are doing. And in Spanish, I don't give the phone to her. No le doy el móvil. Okay, so you can see not. So no, to her I give the phone, or I don't to her give the phone, however you want to look at it. The important thing is to remember is that the not comes at the very beginning of the sentence, or indeed any of the negative words in Spanish that you have. They have to go at the beginning of the sentence. So it goes in between. So, sorry, after the negative, the ind.o.p.s goes before conjugated verbs, which is the doy, and after the negative, which is no. No le doy el móvil. So no le doy el móvil. Negative, indirect object pronoun, conjugated verb. Nice and easy. Sorry, again with this one, if you don't understand this, have a pause, copy it down, give your brain some time to digest it and work it through, and then listen to this section again. But you need to get your head around this, that they go after the negative, okay? And finally 3, attached to the end or before compound tenses. Remember, a compound just means more than one bit to it. So a compound tense is where there are two or more words involved to make the tense. So with two verbs together, the indirect object pronoun goes before the goes before the first verb or attached to the end of the second verb. So here we're going to use the compound future I'm going to give. So the sentence we're going to look at is I am going to give the phone to Gertrude the tiny pig. Again, I've broken it down into different coloured bits so you can see which one is going, so you see which bit is doing what. So that's fairly obvious. Voy a dar el móvil a Gertrude el cerdito chiquitito. And in English, you want to say, I'm going to give the phone to her. So you can see that this to her has replaced to Gertrude the tiny pig. So what does it look like in Spanish? Well, you could either go with le voy a dar el móvil, if you want to. So you can see that the indirect object pronoun sits at the front here. Note it's not attached, it's a separate word. Or voy a dar le el móvil. But in this sentence here, the le is stuck onto the end of dar. Either one is fine, just like with direct object pronouns, either one is fine. There are regional differences within Spain and indeed throughout the Spanish-speaking world, but both ways, people will understand you, both ways are grammatically sound. It doesn't change the meaning, it's whatever you're more comfortable with doing, okay? So, le voy a dar el móvil, I'm going to give the phone to her, or voy a darle el móvil. So you can see what I mean by here. This is the first verb, the voy is the first verb, and the dar is the second verb, okay? So, le voy a dar el móvil, or voy a darle el móvil. If you want, you can print the screen off or make notes, but just like the other two rules of positioning, it's quite important you get your head around this. Make a note of this, give your brain time to chew on it, and then if you're still a bit stuck, either ask me a question or look at this section again. Okay, so what we've done now is we've looked at the positionings of object pronouns. Hopefully you're fairly confident with these and we can move on. So hopefully you're quite confident now with when to use them. Hopefully we've got a big smiley face there, but I still think that with how to form them, not too much of a giant face just yet. So now would be a good time to practice them. These 6 sentences are here to help. They're here to help you see what exactly it is that you've understood and what you still need to go back and work on and have a look at again. As always, I'll go through the first one with you just to make sure that you're on the right track. If not, now would be a good time to pause it if you're feeling confident. So you can pause the video here and you can have a go at the 6 by yourself. But if not, we'll go through the first one together and then we'll go through the rest. I'll give you the answers in a sec. So now would be a good time to pause it and have a go. All right, if not, I will go through the first one with you. So I've color-coded I give the monkey to you. So you can see what each section's doing. And if you guessed correctly, it looked like that. Te doy el mono. So I give is doy, so that's the conjugated verb. Remember your positioning of indirect object pronouns. The indirect object pronoun, to you, in Spanish, goes before the conjugated verb. So te doy el mono, the monkey is el mono. Okay, so if you got that and you're feeling pretty confident, carry on with the next 5. If not, you may want to go back and look at the positioning of indirect object pronouns. Now would be a good time to return to these, the remaining 5 and see if you can tackle those by yourself. Go check out wordreference.com for the vocabulary, and I'll see you in a sec. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully these are the answers that you got. Yeah, the one that you need to look out for, I think, out of all of these is this. So, le voy a escribir or voy a escribirle. It doesn't matter. Either one's fine. So, give yourself a high 5 if you got that. And those are the answers. So, maybe pause the video here and check your answers against what I've come up with. Well done if you got them all right. If you didn't get them all right, feel free to ask me a question if you're a bit confused, or have a look again at this video, the different sections that you're a bit confused with. But well done, you've shoved your micro snout into the trough of knowledge, and now you can smell the roses of learning. Oink, oink, that is a micro high 5 from Fernando. Yay!